The World Cup countdown is starting soon. In less than a month, the World Cup will be held, but with the busyness of the contestants preparing for the celebration, the problem continues to worry. Yes, the problem is the ghost of the injury storm. This problem becomes a very dilemma for the players. On the one hand, they need a lot of playing time from the club to show their best performance and be called up to the national team, but at the same time, the risk of injury and their worries at all times. Now, several victims have fallen. It's even doubtful to appear in Qatar later. Who are they and what effect does it have on the team? The first is what happened to the England national team. His performance has been declining lately, but the injury to his retainers has been added. Confirmed without Reece James and Kyle Walker, is a blow for Southgate, because both can be multifunctional. Apart from being a wing-back, they are also often used as a right centre-back if they use a three-defender pattern. But stockpiling England right-back means Southgate need not worry. There are still Trippier and Trent Arnold who have recovered from injury. Maybe if Southgate chooses to look for a versatile type player like James or Walker, there's no harm in trying Arsenal right-back Ben White, who also stays. In addition, the absence of Calvin Phillips also slightly affected Declan Rice's healthy tandem in Southgate's flagship double pivot. However, there is no need to be sorry. Jordan Henderson and Ward-Prowse can also be Rice's tandem. Moreover, the shine of their new wonder kid Jude Bellingham. Regarding the injury problem that befell their centre-back duo, namely Stones and Maguire, it has made England's centre-back currently lack experienced stock, although both are expected to recover in time. But if it gets worse, there are only options for players like Tomori, Mings, Cody, Smalling, and he left. It seems that there is no guarantee for the strength of the British wall, if it is filled with names with minimal experience. From the French national team, Deschamps is threatened with losing his mainstay double pivot, namely Pogba and Kant. Kant's worse. It is reported that he will definitely miss Qatar later due to the severe hamstring injury he suffered with the Blues. Meanwhile, Pogba is rumored to be following Kant. According to news after his knee injury surgery, Pogba is expected to recover on time, but if Deschamps loses both, the French double pivot option practically belongs to Tchouaméni, Camavinga, or Youssouf Fofana. Of course, the quality is not commensurate with Kant or Pogba, but there are no more options for Deschamps. This is a major blow to the strength of the French midfield, which has been in poor form lately. But on the bright side, it's time to regenerate the youth in midfield like Tchouaméni, Camavinga, and Youssouf Fofana to show off in Qatar later. Next, there is a potential champion of Argentina who was hit by a storm of injuries. One of them is Paulo Dybala. La Joya reportedly suffered an injury after defending Roma against Lex. The injury suffered in his left thigh looks severe. He was even rumored to actually miss the World Cup later. His influence on the Tango team was huge as a battering ram with Messi and Lautaro Martinez. Practically Scaloni messed around with losing Dybala. Like it or not, Scaloni had to think hard about choosing his successor. It fell down the stairs. After the possible absence of Dybala, it is now Angel Di Maria's turn to be injured. This attacking wing is reportedly injured against Maccabi Haifa. He was diagnosed with a mild hamstring injury in his right thigh. However, he is expected to recover ahead of the World Cup. If it is true that the incident of losing these two attacks will automatically reduce the variety of Loba Celeste's attacks, the coating is also less commensurate and inexperienced like Di Maria and Dybala. There are practically only young men like Julian Alvarez, as well as Joaquin Correa and Angel Correa. However, the presence of experienced figures other than Messi, such as Di Maria and Dybala, is still needed for the squad to improve mentally when competing. Turn to Matador country. La Furia Roja made by Enrique is also rumored to be losing two of its players, namely Daniel Olmo and Mikel Oyarzabal. Olmo with Leipzig was sentenced to suffer a serious ankle injury. He has the potential to be absent from the gridiron, even for 2 to 3 months. Olmo's position may not be too influential for the Spanish attack line. His position can still be occupied by several other creative Spanish midfielders, such as Sarabia, Jeremy Pino, Asensio, and Ferran Torres. Meanwhile, their left-handed striker, Mikel Oyarzabal, has not played since March 2022, following a severe knee ligament tear injury suffered. However, with Morata, Borja Iglesias and Nico Williams still present, Enrique doesn't seem too worried about his striker stock. Next step into the German national team. They recently threatened to lose their star winger Leroy Sane. The player has just passed a medical test, and the result is that his left thigh muscle is confirmed to be torn. The injury was obtained when Munich won 5-0 over Freiburg. It was not clear how much time Sane had spent recovering. If it's really that bad, this is a big blow for Hansi Flick. Germany's attack line will be reduced from the flanks. Previously they had almost certainly lost two of their players, namely Florian Wirtz and Marco Reus. Meanwhile, there are also names that may be absent. In the Dutch midfield there is Wijnaldum, then at the Uruguayan centre-back there is Ronald Araujo, and the latest possibilities are Richarlison on the Brazilian frontline, and Diogo Jota on the Portuguese frontline. The loss of Wijnaldum was not too influential, as evidenced by Van Gaal being able to overcome it with Martin de Roon, Gravenberch, and Ton Koopmeiners. The result was fine. While Araujo in Uruguay may have a big influence, when the Barca defender was one of the backbones of Uruguay's backline so far, no more upholstery that matches Araujo. This is a big loss for Uruguay's defense. Meanwhile, recently news broke that Richarlison suffered a serious injury during Spurs against Everton. But is it a loss for Tite and the Brazilian national team? The answer is number, because Brazil's attack stock is very abundant, so Tite was actually not too worried. The real worry is Portugal's coach, Fernando Santos, when he saw one of the mainstays on his front line, Diogo Jota, was carried off the field during the party against City. Jota reportedly relapsed his injury, even reportedly haunted by a long recovery. If it is true to lose Jota, Portugal's attack variations will be slightly reduced, although there are still names like Rafael